Hey everybody, my name is Rick Robinson. Welcome to the Rexburg Hustle. We're excited to have you guys on today's show. Beautiful day outside. We do have an empty mic, as you might see. Travis is actually gone today. He is down in Provo dropping his daughter off at the Missionary Training Center. She's just about to leave on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we miss Travis today. We definitely do. But we're excited, guys, for a great podcast today. But before we do that, we want to spotlight a fantastic business here in Rexburg, a great community member. Our business spotlight this week is Olive Avenue, guys. If you have not been to Olive Avenue on Main Street, it is a fantastic business. Just a little background on Olive Avenue. They did start out as the Jean Girl. I don't know how many of you guys have been here long enough to remember the Jean Girl, but that was just a few years ago. And anyway, they started this business several years ago, and then after the owner graduated college, she said, we really need like a mainstream shop. And so they opened up their shop here on Main Street. They renamed it from the Jean Girl to Olive Avenue. Olive is actually the name of her daughter. So she claims it is her 3-year-old store. I think she's 3 years old. So anyway, guys, Olive Avenue, thank you guys so much for being such a wonderful part of the community. We really appreciate it. Guys, we have a fantastic episode today. We are here with the Madison Fire Chief. And I'm excited personally today because the career of firefighting and things like that is pretty heavy in my family. So my brother was a firefighter. My brother-in-law is a firefighter. My father-in-law is a firefighter. He's a fire captain. And then my another brother-in-law is also involved in fire. He's a firefighter and also does, I think, paramedic stuff with the SWAT team. So anyway, firefighters and the whole fire industry definitely has a very special place in my heart. I know how hard these guys work. I know the difficulty of their job. And I also know just how special they are for how much they help. We've had to call on firemen and paramedics in the past, just personally, and they're kind of the angels that come down and help in times of need. So we are here with Corey Child today. Go ahead and come on up. We're very excited to have him. He is the fire chief of Madison Fire, and thank you so much for being on the show today. How are you?
Great, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you just let our audience know a little bit about you, who you are, just a little bit of your background.
Well, I guess I had to start with my family. That's what I love the most. Married. My wife is Lisa, and we have 3 boys. Our oldest is here in Rexburg going to school. He's married.
Awesome.
And then my middle boy is down at BYU in Provo in mechanical engineering, and my youngest is just graduating from Madison High School.
Okay,
and
great.
He'll be leaving on his mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in July.
Oh, wow.
Going to Singapore and Malaysia.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's exciting.
How do you feel about that?
Well, doubly excited because my middle boy, Jacob, served there and just got home last July. So
No
they're exactly
kidding.
1 year apart.
And the exact same mission?
Exact same mission.
Wow. So my wife served a mission, and then her older brother served a mission, and they both went to the same mission as well.
Yeah.
So
pretty exciting.
Oh, that is so neat. Now, when your son was on a mission, your middle son, did you guys have a chance to go there and visit?
No.
Okay.
Oddly enough, we were going to go back in June.
Uh-huh.
And now we're debating. Austin will go in July. Should we go in June and show him a little precursor to what his mission's going to be like?
Right.
Or what? I think we're going to end up going and enjoy both Taiwan, Malaysia, and Singapore, and
wow,
just get a lay for the land. So,
oh boy, that would be a neat experience.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're
well,
excited.
Congratulations on your son going on a mission.
Yeah,
that's
he's pretty excited.
It's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, it does.
That's awesome. Now, tell everybody just a little bit about your career, your position at Madison Fire, and kind of how you came into that position.
Well, let me back way up because this is really, I don't know anybody that has a career path like I've had.
Okay.
I started off at Sundance Resort in Provo, Utah.
No kidding.
And I worked for Robert Redford for 10 years. I was the publicist for the resort. So anything that was written about the resort or Robert Redford, I produced that. And at the same time, I kind of wore 2 hats. I was the public safety director. And so I was over the fire department. So I kind of had 2 roles, publicist and public safety director. And from there, went down to southern Utah to Zion Ponderosa Ranch Resort on the east rim of Zion National Park to manage that resort.
Oh, wow.
They needed fire suppression to help with their insurance ratings, and so I started a fire department due to my experience at Sundance.
Oh, my gosh.
And after that, we went to Alaska, and I managed a resort for the National Park Service, Glacier Bay National Park. And as soon as I got there, or not long after, the mayor came to me and said, I hear you have fire experience. will you manage our fire department?
Wow.
And so my entire career, I've had a dual career of resort management and fire management.
Wow.
And it's been exciting. We've thoroughly enjoyed the places that we have lived. And literally, it's been a wonderful career. When we came here, it was 100% fire.
Uh-huh.
And I was very happy to leave the resort world behind, so to speak, and just focus.
But a good experience there overall?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Just happy. I came here in 2008, right as the recession hit.
Uh-huh.
That would have been a very, very difficult time to be in the resort industry.
Oh, I can imagine.
So I'm glad I didn't have those particular stresses in my life at that time. And it was good to get our family out of Alaska because of the remoteness. We had to fly our groceries in.
Oh my gosh.
My kids every other week would fly to violin lessons to Juneau.
Wow.
Everything was by airplane. And so to come back to civilization a little bit in the lower 48
pretty nice.
Was nice. And believe it or not, Rexburg was a big town for us.
Yeah.
And, we thought it was great that there was more than one place to get a gallon of milk. Milk happened to be $10 a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
Where we lived. So it was.
Was that on top of flying it in, or is that just kind of all inclusive?
That was on top of everything you flew in was 70 cents a pound.
Oh my
So
word.
a gallon of milk is, $10 plus. It was 8 pounds per gallon.
Right.
So, yeah,
oh my
everything
word.
was just expensive. So,
wow.
yeah.
That is unbelievable.
There's just a little brief background of the Child family.
Well, I got really excited when you said Sundance because my parents actually met at Sundance.
Oh, they did?
So, yeah, my dad was on ski patrol, and my mom was on a date with another guy, and he got hurt, and my dad came and rescued them, and then slipped my mom his phone number, and then the rest was history.
Oh, that's great.
So,
what's your dad's name?
Kip Robinson.
I don't know that I know him.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what year that was, but anyway. Well, that's awesome.
That's great.
So then how's your experience been here in your current position? I guess, where did you start in Madison? Did you start out as a firefighter and just kind of work your way up?
Right. So I was hired as the fire chief. So
Okay.
I came here from Alaska, moved our family here for the sole purpose of being the fire chief.
Wow.
We had a previous fire chief, wonderful man,
Mm-hmm.
Spence Larson, who really handed off to me a great fire department. And as a result, because of the university and the community and the growth, after his retirement, they hired a full-time chief.
Okay.
Spence before was part chief and part on shift. He would actually run calls. But because of the growth, they hired a full-time chief.
Wow.
And I needed to deal with the growth of the community and prepare for the next 10 or 20 years. And
Right.
It has kept us hopping.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is the growth of the university or just Rexburg in general? I mean, I've lived here for about 11 years now, and I've seen this town just grow like crazy. So how has that been a challenge for the fire department to keep up with that? I know you guys went up another story a few years ago and added on to the fire department, but what other challenges has that presented just with the quickly, the rapid growth of Rexburg?
Well, if you wanted to measure the impact on our department and just speak of number of calls,
Mm-hmm.
when I became the chief 10 years ago, we were running around 1,000 calls a year.
Wow.
Today we run around about 3,400 calls a year.
No kidding.
And, I would love to see any business in town that has had a growth rate like that and not struggled financially.
Right.
Your taxes haven't gone up much.
Right.
The legislature doesn't let us, jack up your taxes, and we wouldn't want to. So we've had to, look for other revenue sources, and we have a very, very, very streamlined budget. We have wonderful people that just absolutely work so hard, and I believe deliver one of the greatest products in the state of Idaho as far as public safety goes.
Absolutely. Now, what are some of, we talked a little bit about this before the show, but what are some of these other revenue sources that you guys are able to use or take advantage of to bring more income into the department besides just the taxpayer money?
Well, maybe I could back up and just share with everybody. The department is actually 3 departments in one.
Okay.
You have county ambulance, and everybody sees that on their tax rolls.
Right.
You have the Madison Fire District. They see that on their tax rolls.
Mm-hmm.
That's all properties outside the city of Rexburg that are in the fire district.
Okay.
And then the third entity is the city of Rexburg, so all the properties in the city of Rexburg. That's 3 separate taxing entities. In the year 2000, the elected leadership of those entities wrote a joint powers agreement where those three entities came together under one hat, if you will. And that's the organization that I run today as the chief. It's considered to be the most efficiently run fire department in the state of Idaho.
In the whole state?
In the whole state.
That's impressive. Little old Rexburg, Idaho.
Many have contacted us asking us how we do it and how they can do it. It seems like every week I'm getting emails and questions about how can we combine these departments? Does it work? How did you get over these nuances or whatever? It works for us because we have great elected officials that have made it work for us.
So do the elected officials play a pretty big role then in just the way things are run?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We have a separate board that runs the fire department.
Okay.
It's one county commissioner, happens to be Commissioner Weber, one city councilman, Chris Mann, and one fire commissioner, which is Ken Anderson. And then we have our medical control physician, Dr. Zollinger.
Oh, okay.
And out of those four, Ken Anderson happens to be the chair of the committee, and the fire department reports to them. And so we don't report to the county commission or the city council or the fire district. We report to that made-up board.
Interesting.
It's the governing body.
Okay. And how often do you guys have to report to them?
Sometimes it's daily, sometimes monthly. It just depends what's going on.
Okay. So frequently. It's not just a once-a-year thing. It's
no.
Okay.
No, yeah, they're involved. They know what's going on. Right now we're going through budget season, and so it's phone calls. Hey, what about this? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And so they're involved. There are elected officials. That board knows exactly what's going on with the fire department, and
wow.
They don't dictate by any means. They don't manage like that. They just want to be in the know and make sure that what we're doing is in the best interest of their constituents.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so neat. See, these are all things that I think most people just wouldn't understand or know, that there's just there's so much to it. It's not just hanging out at the fire station waiting for calls to come in. I mean, there's so much that has to happen to keep this alive, it sounds like.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't answer your question fully, but you asked
You're good.
about other revenue sources. So we have those three revenue sources via tax. But we also were heavily involved in the suppression of wildland fires across the United States, and we have a contract with Idaho Department of Lands that subsequently contracts with the federal government. Interestingly enough, it's illegal in the U.S. Constitution for local government to contract with the federal government.
Oh, really?
It's not allowed.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
The only people that can contract with the federal government that's in government is state government.
Okay.
So I have to have a contract with Idaho Department of Lands, who then has a contract with the federal government.
Wow.
But they call on both our medical resources, ambulances, paramedics and EMTs to be on the fire line, our fire trucks. All summer long, we go out all over the United States, primarily in the West.
Okay.
We've been as far east as Alabama.
Wow.
We've been to California. We've been to the Mexico border.
Oh, my gosh.
And all the way to the Canadian border. So
you guys put some miles on those.
We put some miles on. All the apparatus we currently use in that program have been paid for by the program and not by taxpayer dollars.
No kidding.
So
that is really neat.
Yeah, it's been a great coup for the community.
So talking about fire, actually, I guess one question before that, just out of curiosity, out of the 3,000 plus calls a year that you guys run, how many are fire and how many are medical related?
If we just talk round numbers, we run somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,800 to 3,000 medical calls a year.
Wow.
And the rest would be fire, so 400 to 600 fire calls a year.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So the medical side's really, really quite heavy.
It is. Medical side's very heavy.
Which calls are more difficult for people? Is it the medical or fire, or does it just kind of depend?
It just depends what the circumstance is. Obviously, our frequency is in the realm of medical.
Right.
And then there's all levels. There's everything from a crying baby to a full arrest of somebody who's having a heart attack, or a full trauma in an automobile accident or a gunshot, or who knows what.
Yeah.
So every day they just come to work prepared and ready to respond to whatever the nature of the call may be.
No matter what time of the day.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, people don't think of the fire department like this, but really 100% of what we do is responding to somebody else's hardship.
Yeah. Yep.
And we are part of the community, and when we respond to our community members, we're sensitive to that. And we want to service them and bring resolution to their hardship as quickly as possible and as comfortably as possible. So we try to make good resolution out of their hardship. Is there always a good ending? No, there's not.
Right.
We don't like to see houses burn down, but they're going to.
Right.
Sometimes we just cannot stop the fire.
Sure.
Whether it be from safety or wind or circumstances out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
Same with medical. We try to bring great resolve, but we will not save every life.
Right.
We just simply can't. But we provide a wonderful service.
Yeah. Well, and just on a personal note for me personally, I guess, a few years ago, I just remember a time in my life when I remember seeing, it was actually Madison Fire that showed up to this one. But we had an incident where we were kayaking down the Snake River, and one of our friends had actually hit into a tree, and it flipped him over and pinned him against his kayak. Ended up taking his life. But I remember just seeing, we were stranded on the river for hours and hours and hours, just waiting for someone to come help us, and to see if there's anything we could do for our friend Scott. But I just remember seeing the fire department come and hopping in the ambulance afterwards, and just everybody taking such good care of us and comforting us. And it's got to be I just remember how high my emotions were that day, just losing a friend. And so, do they go through training for helping people in these emotional situations, or are they just genuinely good people that just kind of know how to react to these situations?
That's a great question. Given the sheer volume of calls that we go on, they are getting experience every day how to handle people's emotions. Yes, it's covered in their EMT or their paramedic schooling. But really on-the-job training allows them to be sensitive to the needs of the individual.
Well, it's sure a positive thing, though, and sure an important part for, I think, the people that you guys go out and serve. And I can just imagine how grateful everybody is when they're going through a hardship, just the comfort that you guys are able to bring to them.
I'll note it can be a mental hardship on us, right, as responders.
Yes.
Suicide rate is very, very high with firefighters and paramedics, as it is with police officers, because of the amount of stress brought upon us. We're always performing, right? And now in the day that we live in, we're not only performing for those that are on scene, but we're performing for everybody that has a phone, and they're filming it, they're broadcasting it.
Right.
We're sensitive to our community members. There's a high level of stress. We try to combat that stress by we require a mental health checkup once a year.
Really?
You have to go, including the chief.
Wow.
I have to go to a psychologist once a year for a mental health checkup. And then our insurance policy for both police and fire allow for 20 psychological visits per incident. So really we have as much psychological help as we want. If we raise our hand and say, boy, that call really bothered me, or that was too close to home, or whatever the case may be, you have 20 free visits that you can go and get psychological help with that. We take our mental health very seriously. We love our employees. We're so grateful for everything that they provide. We need to keep their bodies healthy as well as their minds. So we're very, very aggressive with our mental health policy.
Wow. See, that's an aspect I would have never thought of. I would assume that there's got to be some hard times and really tough calls that you guys have to go on, but and I guess I didn't realize that suicide rate in the industry was high. I know it's really high with doctors and I guess really anybody in the medical industry, so it makes sense.
Yeah, high stress. Another question that's often asked of me is, well, how many employees do you really have?
Yeah.
We have 21 full-time employees.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we have around 50 that are paid call.
Oh, wow.
We don't have any true volunteers because we pay everybody, but these paid call members, they have real jobs out in the community. They're professors and businessmen and moms and whatever else.
So they just carry a radio with them, and when it goes off, they just get up and run.
They do. We schedule them on occasion, but generally they come to backfill the station or come on large calls.
Wow.
So appreciative of them. We would fail without those.
Yeah.
That paid call force. So very appreciative of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, before I forget, I want to address Zach's question. Zach, who's our tech guy, asked before the show, why are Rexburg's fire engines, why are they yellow and not red?
Okay, that's a great question. I like to say because yellow is the elite color. It means we're a better fire department than those with red engines. But since I'm honest, I'll tell you the truth.
Okay.
The actual truth is when the fire department, the county fire department, the fire district, and the city fire department combined, the county had more apparatus than the city.
Okay.
The county apparatus were yellow, and the city were red. So we ended up with yellow fire trucks.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it's not a ranking by.
Not a ranking. It was a financial decision. That,
Gotcha.
Hey, we have more yellow fire trucks. Let's keep them yellow.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Now, you guys, as the fire department has grown, have you guys had to get more rigs, more trucks, more?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many do you guys have right now?
Oh, I don't know what the exact count is, but interestingly enough, every piece of apparatus that we have is paid for with cash before we ever receive it.
So don't have to go into debt at all.
We absolutely will not go into debt for any of our apparatus.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Many departments in the state are in debt.
Really?
For apparatus, and they're paying it off for 20 years.
Wow.
The city of Rexburg and the fire department, as well as ambulance, have chosen to only pay cash. So we have zero debt for the fire department.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, this is, again, a kind of a personal question, but every once in a while I see kind of a 1980s red Suburban driving around town, hooking up some fire hydrants to the back of the Suburban. What are they doing?
Yeah. Well, to keep your insurance ratings low, we have to test every fire hydrant every year. And we have to
every one every year.
Oh
my gosh.
And I actually have a retired Forest Service employee, Richard Robertson, that I hired to do that. And that's the older gentleman you'll see driving around in that red Suburban.
Yep.
And he'll have a younger, generally a high school student or somebody with him.
I've noticed that, yeah.
And they go around and test the water flow. They're actually calculating it through a calculator to tell me this hydrant has this much pressure and will flow this much water.
Oh, wow.
So I know that every hydrant works.
Yeah.
So that when we go to a fire, we can turn the valve and water comes out.
Right.
So,
now, are you guys able to hook straight to a hydrant to put out a fire? Or does it have to go in and be pumped with the truck?
We hook all of our trucks up to hydrants so that we can control the pressure and the volume of water that's delivered to the end of the nozzle.
Gotcha.
Keeps the firefighter safe and delivers the product that the firefighter wants.
What's generally the flow out of a fire hydrant? Is it pretty high?
We're all over, but
is it?
You could generally say 1,000 gallons a minute.
Wow.
Generally speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's more than I thought it would be.
That's a lot.
That's awesome. Well, I love seeing that red Suburban going all around. Any kind of interesting or kind of crazy calls that you've been on before?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure there's been tons.
I have two that come to my mind.
Okay.
First one was last summer. We were out west on a desert fire. And just as we finished suppressing it with the Central Fire District, thank you. As soon as we finished suppressing it with the Central Fire District and the BLM, we were just wrapping things up, and we looked back at our mountain, and there were people up on our mountain lighting off fireworks.
You're putting a fire out.
In celebration of something. I don't know what they were celebrating, but as we put the fire out down below, they were igniting fireworks up above. And it just makes me wonder, really, they could certainly see us up there. They could
I'm sure you had your lights on and smoke. Yeah.
And they were just centered on themselves and happy to celebrate.
Oh, my word.
Another incident that we went on, not so happy. It was traumatic. It happened to be a head-on collision on East 33, so toward Driggs or Tetonia. And stuff scattered everywhere. And treated the patient, and my captain that was on at the time said to the officer, "Do you want us to help you gather up this football field full of just stuff everywhere?" And he said, "Oh, if you would, that would be wonderful." And probably 600, 700 feet from the vehicle was a car seat with a baby in it, alive, just sitting there cooing like nothing had ever happened. The baby had been ejected from the car. Mother was unconscious, able to tell us that she had a child in the car. And there, who looks 700 feet from the vehicle? Right. And there, 700 feet from the vehicle, was a baby in a car seat. Those miracles, I could go on and on and on with my list of miracles, but, how do you get ejected and have no harm? Right. That baby was just perfectly fine. Little miracle story. And things like that happen quite frequently. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that you can see kind of a higher power more often than not in some of these calls. Absolutely. So, boy, we recognize wholly that God is in control, and I can't change that. Right. So we will save some lives, and others we won't. We will save some homes, and others we won't. Right. It just depends. I don't determine the fate of the day. Yeah. Wow.
Boy, that one just, I mean, I have 2 little kids myself, so just thinking about that and what a miracle that is something else. Boy, I can't even fathom that. Do you guys, as you kind of go on these more tough calls, do you guys tend to keep in contact with these people to see if they're recovering or see if they're doing better, or do you guys just kind of, by the nature of your job, just need to move on to the next things?
We have a tendency to move on, not because we don't have interest in them, but because of the sheer volume.
Sure.
However, you can flip the tide there. People have a tendency to keep in touch with us. They'll come back and extend their thanks or their gratitude or, whatever to bring closure to their incident. And we're always appreciative of that.
Yeah.
We get the babies and the moms that come in all the time after we deliver babies or whatever. And those are joyful times.
Oh, I'm sure.
Delivered a number of babies on floorboards of cars and back seats and whatnot all over the county. And
oh my gosh,
those people have a tendency to find their way to the station just to say, "Hey, thanks. Look at our healthy baby." And
that is so cool.
Yeah.
We just have just a couple minutes left, but what would you say is your favorite part of your job?
I thoroughly enjoy maintaining a state of readiness for the people that we serve, and we do that with the wonderful people that I work with that are so dedicated to their jobs and to the people of the county.
Yeah,
it is literally fun for me to see their state of readiness and how they serve the community, and I get just a lot of joy out of that. And that may be weird to some people, but
no, I think that's
I literally appreciate the fact that we're prepared every time we roll out of that door.
Yeah.
And we never know how we're going to bring resolve to whatever incident.
Sure.
We're problem solvers, and we go out and we do our best. Are we going to get it right 100% of the time? We're not.
Yeah.
But we're going to learn from every call that we go on, and we'll keep trying. And I love that spirit about our department.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Is there any part of your job that's particularly difficult?
I would go back to the hard calls and the impact that I see that those hard calls have on the mental capacity of my employees.
Yeah.
Dealing with hard calls are never fun. Many bring tears to your eyes in your quiet moments and in your private moments, and so there's hardship there. And I can't say that that's a fun part of the job. It's not.
I couldn't imagine it would
and
be.
I hate to have my employees struggling as well, to think what they're going through and the impact that it has on their families. Thus, going back to the fact that we have a strong healthy psychological program for our employees, mental health program.
So it's good that they have help and are able to kind of work through things and process things after those harder calls.
We don't hide it. It's very much a conversation in the station of, "Hey, how you doing? Have you been to a counselor lately?"
Nobody's man enough to it's just kind of the standard at the department that you're open about things.
Absolutely. Perhaps in the past it was the macho man thing to do that. I'm not going to mention that this call had any effect on me. There's none of that anymore. Everybody's very open and, "Hey, do you need help? Hey, let's go to the counselor together," or whatever. We like to talk through things, and
that's awesome.
No secrets. Everybody just is open and helpful to one another.
Oh, that is so great. Well, thank you so much. We're out of time, unfortunately. 30 minutes always flies by. I can't believe how fast it goes. But again, thank you so much. Thank you for your service to the community, really. And I mean that from my heart, just where we've had personal incidences where you guys have had to show up to help us, in multiple scenarios since we've lived here in Rexburg. So thank you for what you guys do, for what your employees do, for your service that you guys give to the community, and also for running such a great department that's not in debt. That's not, it's one of the most financially stable in the state of Idaho. That makes me proud of our department. I think that's just absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much.
Well, Rick, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to stay tuned for our show next week. We'll be back next Wednesday at 1:30 with another guest. Hope everybody has a fantastic week, and we'll see you guys next week.